There's been major developments after one of the most dysfunctional Otter Creek town hall meetings in the history of town hall meetings. WTH News has everything to bring to you today, including all of your questions. And Sweet Rage has a question. We're going to give you the answers. Question: how many meetings /years/decades does it take for members seated on a council to learn and understand the basic task of how to approve an agenda in minutes? Now, Sweet Rage is referring to Russ The Suss and Don the Con, who intentionally went into this meeting in February to sabotage it from the get-go. There was a plan beforehand. There was a plan with Russ The Suss, Don the Con, with Stuart Stewart, Laura Mott even. And then also LIEnette John CROOK, and even busted Case of Biscuits boy. All of this was all pre-planned, which is illegal per sunshine laws. They're talking about town hall activity, town hall business outside of an actual sanctioned meeting. How long does it take it for them to get that through their head? Well, considering Don and Russ have been messing around with town hall business for over 30 years now, apparently it still has not sunken in. I'm curious, once Tallahassee comes to interview them and inspect them personally with the investigation, maybe it'll sink in then. Marcus91 says, my question is, Russ the Suss, Meeks Sr., had his pocket recorder in his pocket. He didn't turn it on for record when he left. And isn't that against sunshine laws? Oh, he said he didn't turn it in. Okay, so absolutely, it's public property. It is owned by Town Hall because he is a seated council member. So remember, I can go in there and I can record. I don't have to turn it in because I'm just a resident. But he's employed by the residents as a council member. So if he's recording, it is owned and it is public property for public disbursement from Town Hall upon a public records request. And so he's leaving, taking information with him that he legally cannot. So here's the issue. I've shared 13 points of investigation on Russ The Suss already. I'm pretty sure there's going to be 14 points of investigation. Sandra Parker wants to know, why did 3 deputies quit? Well, the question is a good one. And frankly, we don't know the answer. What we can tell you is it's raining yet again in Otter Creek. It never ever stops, apparently.
The ducks are playing in the rain, so that makes me happy.
So why I shared that it's raining is because this has been one of the most unusual winters in the history of this area. It has been the wettest and flooded winter ever. I don't know about 100 year, but if you talk to the locals, they haven't seen this in 20, 25, 30 plus years. So this winter has been insane, not only from the legal perspective, not only from our stalking neighbors perspective, not only for the corruption in Otter Creek perspective, not only from the corruption in the Levy County Courthouse perspective, not only from the aspect of getting assaulted by the victim's advocate who's supposed to be advocating for me as the state goes against LIEnette. Who knows at this point? Do you think maybe the Levy County deputies actually wised up and went, you know what? We don't want to be a part of this. We see the corruption in this area. We see what's going on in this area, and we want more. We want better for our lives than to be a part of this. Maybe they don't want to get themselves incriminated. Maybe they found a better job that was paying. I don't know. Nobody truly knows except those 3 individuals, because we all know when somebody actually quits, they usually don't give the real reason why they quit. You know, it's that whole breakup thing. It's not you, it's me. Or it's not you, it's me, not you. You know, whatever it is. They never truly give the real reason when they actually quit. So the reasons could be plentiful. If I had to guess, they probably want out of Levy County. Kelly Q wants to know, did the kid who threw iced tea on Jeremy, or sweet tea, or just tea on Jeremy get arrested yet? I'm betting not, since his daddy and his mommy both work for Levy County. Okay, so Kelly, you are correct. Mom is the victim's advocate, Amanda Martin. Dad is part of the Levy County Sheriff, and he is a detective with the Levy County Sheriff. And that is Tom, and he has not. So Stephen the Rat Cunningham has not been arrested yet. As a matter of fact, last night at about midnight, I was on the phone with the police officer that is putting everything together for this to go to the DA. So what's going to happen is the police officer went to find Rat and to get Rat's side of this, and Rat has not come forward yet. Rat's in hiding. And so officer last night on the phone told me that he's going to go ahead, compile all the information, all the video evidence. He's going to submit that to the DA. The DA, the district attorney, will then submit a warrant for arrest. Mark Roy says, is that child in the car? Yeah, that child is in the car.
Always.
So keep in mind that they parked there at 4:45. And how do we know? Because the deputies told us that they called the deputies to let them know they were there at 4:45 and we weren't there, which makes no sense whatsoever, because if we show up, they have to leave. This is not a civil protection order that says first person comes, the other person has to go. The first person gets to stay there. No, there are no exceptions, nothing whatsoever. When I arrive or when George arrives, and specifically George arrived, because I did not go because of the temporary injunction that Greg DeThomasis has placed on me. Not based on what I've done, based on what she's lying, saying that others have done. They must remove themselves immediately. And they did not. They stayed for over an hour and a half with a child in the vehicle. Keep in mind, town hall meetings start at 7 p.m. That child was locked in the vehicle with them, with Crook vaping. So somebody said, oh man, it looks like he dropped a firearm out on the ground as he got out of the vehicle to talk to Don LeCon. No, that was this vape pen, and you can see all the smoke going back in, circling into the child. So the child's been isolated, I would even say trapped in a vehicle for 4 hours, and now getting secondhand smoke. And the list probably goes on and on to undescribable things that we don't even know. We just know that there is a child that's in that vehicle for a crazy amount of time. And has she gone to the bathroom? Well, we already know, because LIEnette's been caught in all of her lies. She does not even been potty trained yet. Of course she went to the bathroom, most likely in her diapers, which LIEnette claims she did not dump on Dead Dog Road. And I believe her, she didn't. The crook did. Chris Matthews needs clarification, as well as a handful of other people's. He's saying if they are there first, I don't see the argument. I'm not taking sides, I'm just confused. If they're at a restaurant and you want to eat there, are they supposed to leave? I'm confused. Yes, that's it. You've got it. They cannot be where we are at. If we show up, they must leave immediately. That's it. Post office, restaurant, Walmart, feed store, you name it, flea market. Gas station, Dairy Queen, McDonald's, town hall. It doesn't matter the place. They must vacate. They must leave immediately. And you're going, well, that doesn't sound fair. Of course it's fair. They're the ones that threatened our lives. They're the ones that have consequences because of that in their lives. We don't live with consequences in our lives. We have never threatened them. We have never engaged anybody to threaten them. We have always told people do things appropriately and properly. Do not contact them. And if you see something, say something to the right agencies and authorities. They have consequences because of their actions that were illegal. We don't have consequences. And yet, even though, yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're going, but the judge put a temporary injunction on you, Jeremy. Okay, emphasis on temporary. Theirs are permanent, okay? Mine is temporary based on not even hearing the whole hearing yet. He has heard no defense whatsoever. And I do not agree with what he's done, but I have respected his decisions and what he's put into place, even though I have no respect for Craig DeThomasis whatsoever. The main point is simply, LIEnette and John Crook must leave immediately. Whenever we arrive somewhere, they have to go. It doesn't matter if they were there at 4:45. Doesn't matter if they came later. Doesn't matter if they were there first or they were there second. They may not stay. Our lives don't change, theirs do, because they're the ones that got incriminated in their criminal acts. Ashley Lease has the same question. She says, I'm on your guys' side with everything, but it depends if they were there before you. No, It does not. And frankly, I'm so sick and tired of the ignorant comments about this that we're just going to block anybody else that says anything along the lines of, oh, you have to leave if they were there first. Get it through your heads. They must always leave without exception, no matter what. There are no what ifs. There are no buts. There are no ands, ors, anything. They have to leave without exception, no matter what. It's amazing to me how many viewers think that they're actual lawyers or judges, that they think they actually wrote our civil protection orders, as if they have any insight on our civil protection orders at all. Rick Friend says, I see LIEnette is not wearing her mask. Well, trust me, I guarantee you everybody in there wanted her to. Nobody wants to see meth mouth. You realize we've debunked yet another lie. Debunked! She does not wear a mask everywhere. As a matter of fact, she had the child parked right next to the door with all of these strangers going by. Many are fans of What the Hales just to see if Otter Creek is a real place or if this is somehow orchestrated, and it was orchestrated. Russ The Suss orchestrated that entire meeting and all of the dysfunction of it. But it is real, and it happened. So not only was LIEnette not wearing a mask, Crook wasn't wearing a mask, and if we take the lie that Russ The Suss told the deputies that he was going to place John CROOK on the town council, okay, now all of a sudden, where's the child going? If the child has this life-threatening disorder and disease and can't be around anybody, and a simple cold or salmonella from turtles could kill her at any point in time, and death is a very serious situation. But I'm sure you understand that this is beyond an exaggeration, completely and totally dramatized. And LIEnette uses this to exploit the child, to beg and con people out of money. So the child is right there by every single person going by. The windows are down. Crook is smoking. So every sniffle, every sneeze, every cough, every breath out literally can go into the vehicle as they parked it.
Don't forget the deputies.
To block us going into the building. They blocked us on purpose. You've got deputies that are showing up. It's numerous who's there. No mask for anybody except Stuart Stewart. And his mask probably matched his diaper. After Shell watched the video, she says, I'm only a couple minutes into this, but Jeremy, at what point do you sue Levy County and the state of Florida? If you want it done right, not using the good old boy system, you're going to have to go legal. And I completely and totally agree with you. But we're also seeing that the legal system is part of the good old boy system. So when you're asking at what point do we actually sue, well, we're there. We're at that point. Levy County Sheriff continues to disregard our civil protection orders. Every deputy acts like they've never seen it and they don't know what's going on. And here's the truth of the matter. They all have seen it and they all know what's going on. Every day they get another email about what's going on between us and our psychotic neighbors. Every time there's a call, every time there's an incident, every deputy gets that information in their email. It's not that difficult. Every single one of them know our civil protection order. Every single one of them know that they must stay away 500 feet. Every public road, public building, private building, with no exceptions whatsoever. They also know that it's 10 feet when we're on our respected properties. In other words, they're on one side of the road, we're on the other side of the road, then we're okay. And they also know that I can drive up and down my road. They know the terms of the civil protection order. For them to continue to act like they don't puts them in further liability. Those individual deputies are going to be named in a lawsuit and are going to be liable for what they have not done in enforcing this civil protection order. And the state is liable as well. The answer is it's past time. The time is now. Quick says, am I missing something, or did LIEnette dye her hair black? Well, she's either trying to go Johnny Cash now, or this is part of a whole new scam and con. Remember, 39 aliases, and once she moves, the name changes as well. So we've had Lacey, Alexis, Michelle is current what she's going by. Her name is not LIEnette. No. Her name is Michelle, which is ironic because She keeps saying that I'm using her name against the temporary civil protection order or injunction in Florida, that I'm not allowed to say her name. Well, it's protected speech, First Amendment right. I can say her name, use her image, I can video her, somebody else can video her. It doesn't matter. It's all protected First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, freedom of press, okay? And so I'm guessing she's either prepping for a new con, going with that new look, going full goth, which is kind of ironic because you would have thought she would have wanted to go into court in the final hearing on March 1st, all gray. He's picking on the poor lady with no money. Instead of lizard green eyeshadow. Yeah, she had lizard green eyeshadow and pimpin' pink lipstick on with her all goth look. It was pretty ridiculous. It was out of control in that meeting. Pickles wants to know, I wonder how she calls the child Pickles. Well, she's letting a tablet, really raise the child.
Well,
So
the tablet and melatonin.
Yeah, well, and melatonin as well. Yes, that's true. She literally gives the child melatonin throughout the day.
She's
going to destroy the child's system. So when did LIEnette, this might be the child, Pickles, right there. It says Pickles. So when did LIEnette go to college to become a lawyer? She told Russell that what was happening was illegal. Obviously, these morons didn't listen when the actual lawyer explained it to them. Who does Russell think he is? He can't appoint people to a seat anyway. All right, so I will say this. There's no doubt LIEnette has gotten quite a bit of a legal education through Ohio and Florida. Now, in Ohio and Florida, she's been representing herself as a pro se litigant, which, as a pro se litigant, they have to actually be treated as a competent lawyer. Now, we also have seen that Judge Craig DeThomas has acted as her lawyer illegally in the courtroom. So she's gotten quite a bit of an education, and then she got $7,000 to retain Joshua. And so now what we have is this situation where she feels empowered. As a matter of fact, look at this. Levy County Sheriff continued to do nothing until the very end. The meeting is over. And just so we are on the same page, the deputies did make them leave and told them they must leave. Unfortunately, an hour and a half afterwards, as they had already been there. Or you could think of it, fortunately, an hour and a half afterwards, because now they have 100% sealed their fate in the state of Ohio, where there will be yet another contempt of court hearing where they will be mandated to show in person. And if they do not show, there will be a warrant for their arrest. And if they do show, they will be arrested immediately. Each count of contempt, each violation, which there have been so many violations, each violation carries with it a maximum of 6 months in jail and $1,000 fine. That's for each violation. And we are going violation after violation after violation after violation. Frankly, at this point, they may spend the rest of their lives in jail if you add up every violation. Lucinda Parrott wants to know, why is Vice Mayor Zim allowing Russell to control the meeting? If I were vice mayor, I would tell him to sigut it or shut it or leave. It was misspelled, but that's okay. I'm the acting mayor, not him. Well, I think even though Zim is a massive man, okay, he's a big man, I believe he has a teddy bear heart. Not only that, I don't think he's going to infringe upon the rights of somebody's freedom of speech. And I want to go even further. If you actually watch this entire town hall meeting, who's truly in control? Vice Mayor Zim was in control of the entire meeting at all times, even when Russ The Suss is trying to take control, trying to thwart authority. And so at the end of it all, it wasn't Vice Mayor Zim who went, no! It wasn't Vice Mayor Zim that took his massive binder and his recorder and then said, come on, Don, we're leaving. No, it was Vice Mayor Zim who sat there calmly, despite all of the distractions, and with leadership led the meeting and then had to adjourn the meeting because Russ the Suss and Don the Con's tantrums. And you also had Megan, the lawyer, there the entire time, placing Russ the Suss and Don the Con in their appropriate spots and positions. So I don't think Zim was not acting as a leader. As a matter of fact, I commend him for his leadership, because if it would have been me, I would have gotten a little bit more heated. I would have raised my voice a little bit more. I would have said some things that I would have regretted later. And yet he showed great restraint. I want people to understand, even with the aspect of me being assaulted by the Rat Cunningham, Stephen the Rat Cunningham, do you understand the amount of strength that it takes to not assault back versus going full blows? Now, I was first hit inside the restaurant, and then I removed him from the restaurant by stating, "Oh, I know what you want. You want an autograph. Come outside. I'll give you one." And I got him to follow me outside. But do you understand the amount of strength that it takes to not react? That's strength that you saw in that meeting with Vice Mayor Zim. That was strong leadership. Jeannie Connell says, if Russ the Suss didn't fill out the new forms, why is he even there other than be a jerk? Anybody can see that. They've basically hijacked the meeting. I don't know. If anybody else got a message going to put out all your information out on the black web, she's referring to John Crook. So John Crook has been messaging What the Hale's fans, telling him that he is putting all of their information out on the black web. So let's dissect that for a second. Number one, he's a fool. It's called the dark web, not the black web. And number two, he's just incriminating himself even further and further and further. So let's keep going on. But I did. So she's stating she got a message from John Crook that he was going to put all of her information out on the black web.
She reported it to her local law enforcement.
She reported it to the local. Okay.
I'm saying I'm hoping that she did.
Janine Connell, make sure you report that to your local law enforcement and report that here to Levy County Sheriff. Remember, if you see something, say something. Don't respond to him. As we've always said, report it to the appropriate authorities. But she says, I got the message from John Crook, but little does he know I gave all this information to my brother, who's a detective for the district attorney. Wow. I should have kept reading. Oh my goodness. I'm so sick of this. LIEnette and Crook, oh my goodness, little does he know that I gave all this information to my brother, who's a detective for the DA, and the DA's the one that's going to put the arrest warrant out for the Rat Cunningham. Wow. Okay. All right, so I should have read all this beforehand. All right, Russ didn't fill out the new form. Why is he even there, other than be a jerk? All right, Janine, I want to focus on that. Russell did not fill out any information for Form 6, okay? And so anybody new being seated as of January 1st must pre-qualify or go through the qualifying measures of filling out the appropriate paperwork. So you understand, and Russ the Suss understands, as he lies to the deputies, he cannot place John Crook or LIEnette in on a seat on the council. They have not qualified with the appropriate paperwork. There are only 5 individuals that filled out that paperwork. It was Stuart Stewart, Laura Mott, Don the Con, it was Carl Hughes, and Joe. All right? And so, Joe and Carl for the 1-year seat. The other 3, they have to fight for the 2-2-year seats. So this, in its own essence of itself, the law, can you understand what the judge is going to do in Florida after he sees what these two have done? I mean, everything could backfire on LIEnette. Everything, I could have the Florida injunction on her and Crook, and everything could flip. And then they have another civil suit for defamation. They're going to have charges of perjury, and it goes on and on and on and on here in Florida. So he did not fill out Form 6, and he thought that he didn't have to fill out Form 6, which is wrong. Even if he continues to serve, even if he went, oh, well, I'm not a 1-year, I'm a 2-year, and if he tried to serve another 2 years, he still had to fill out the forms, which he did not. He did not fill out any of the appropriate forms. You know what that means? He's done. He's done for good. Those who did not fill out the forms, and if you remember, Madam Mayor stepped down because she said, I'm not filling these forms out. This is a violation of privacy. And so Russ didn't fill the forms out either. He's
going to get hefty fines.
So you're up to $20,000 fines. Now, He's there to serve still to the end of his term. He cannot stay afterwards. He did not qualify with the paperwork Form 6. He's gone. Completely gone. What he's trying to do is trying to get in and change everything to his benefit to try and protect himself, all the manipulation, all the lies, all the stealing before he's gone for good. Now that doesn't mean he can't fill out Form 6 for the next election next year. And who knows, maybe he will. Paul says, Russ the Suss has never been that bright red shade before, has he? Well, yeah. Bright red in his face. As much as LIEnette posts that Crook is a runk, well, everybody in Otter Creek and outside of Otter Creek also knows that Russ the Suss is a runk. So his face being that bright red, that is a normal thing on every single occasion he's been in Otter Creek. Now, his face gets a few shades darker red when I'm there, and he's actually more under control when I'm there. It's the accountability, not of me. And I don't want you to misunderstand this. This isn't a threat, okay? But if you look at my size, okay? I know on camera it's very difficult to understand. If anybody and any of our fans have ever seen me in real life, I am a huge human being, okay? I'm not the biggest of the biggest, but I'm at the probably medium size of big people. I'm huge. And so me compared to Russ the Suss, that's an intimidation factor already, and I understand that. But I'm a giant teddy bear. I'm a lover of lovers, okay? And so I'm a lover, I'm not a fighter. If you push me to the point where I have to fight, which many people do for some reason, who knows what goes through their head, why they want to continue to push me and push me and push me. You poke and you poke and you poke, and then you get swatted with a huge fist that can palm a basketball and all of their heads. And then they whine and they cry. So I want you to understand, I'm probably not the actual intimidation factor for Russ and why he turns red. This is. It's a cell phone and it's a camera. And now you don't only see mine. And keep in mind, I'm not the one that started filming these. It was LIEnette and John CROOK who started filming, trying to expose Russ the Suss. They were putting signs all over town. They were filming town hall meetings, calling him corrupt, calling him a thief, calling him a liar, just like LIEnette called Belinda a liar.
And the lawyer. She called the lawyer a liar.
Lawyer a liar. Calls the lawyer a liar. Do you understand? All of filming town hall was started by LIEnette and CROOK.
Since we moved there.
Okay?
Before we moved there was Charlene.
When I started filming is the issues that they started with me. This is my life. They interrupted my life. They had every opportunity, years to correct it before I started exposing it. And frankly, the same with LIEnette and CROOK. They had time where we ignored and we ignored and we ignored and we ignored and we ignored, and they kept poking and kept poking. And really what they kept doing was posting and posting and posting and posting and posting until they got swatted with, not cops, she actually posted once, I got swatted because a deputy showed up on her property. That's not a swatting. They got swatted with a cease and desist, civil protection orders, and now multiple lawsuits against them. Barbara the Illustrator makes an extremely good point here. Sorry, Don. You sealed your election fate with the comment, so does the Bible, in reference to the town charter being old and needing to be rewritten. Don and Russ equals brood of vipers. Now, her biblical reference there, in case you don't understand, as so many say, Jeremy, you're not a Christian, you call names. She is quoting Jesus talking to the corrupt Pharisees and Sadducees, calling them a brood of vipers. In other words, Jesus name called. He called it what it was. When I call LIEnette, I'm calling her what she is. She's a pathological liar. When I call Crook, I'm name calling what he is. He's a crook. When I call Russ the Suss, he's completely and totally suspicious. When I say Mary, math is scary. The woman can't do math. Don the con. I've already shared with you how he's conned the town out.
We've all been duped.
So you want me to keep going on, and you want to sit there and say, Jeremy, you claim to be a Christian. Of course I claim to be a Christian. I've accepted Jesus Christ as personal Savior. And then you go, oh, you name call. Jesus name called. Now, should we rewrite that Bible, Don? Should we rewrite it to where Jesus didn't name call? No, never. Brian D. loved watching the town hall meeting. He says, OMG, that was funny. Are we going to do this like we're supposed to? I tried some stupid move and you were smarter than me. Going from Russ The Suss' own comments. The best part of this, I mean, this is such irony, and I love it. It's beautifully ironic. Russ The Suss and Don the Con want more than anything this particular lawyer. More expensive than the other lawyer that was up for offer for the town council. And this lawyer puts them in their place. Are we going to do this like we're supposed to? And she goes, well, by law. And then, but our charter, she goes, your charter says you shall seat. You shall seat. And you have to also understand, they can't just seat anyone. Where Russ The Suss goes, well, we just seat anyone we want. Okay, so Russ The Suss can seat anyone he wants, but Vice Mayor Zim can't? So, okay, so what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? You know, we got equal scales here. They got to balance out. If Russ The Suss can seat anyone he wants, then so can Vice Mayor Zim. Except Florida law now says they must be qualified with Form 6. And the only ones qualified for those seats were Carl and Joe. Unopposed, meaning there was nobody else going for those one-year seats. They can go ahead, legally have a seat. Patty Johnson says, what can be done when law enforcement won't actually do their job or follow the law? Well, you have really only one recourse. It is the law. So you have to follow everything up legally. And unfortunately, you know, there are many out there who go, well, Jeremy's just lawsuit happy. I'm not lawsuit happy. I don't like lawsuits any more than anybody else does. But when people don't do the right thing and you give them an opportunity, like Busted Biscuit Boy, Russ The Suss, Mary, Don the Con, LIEnette, Crook, and it could go on, right? Marilyn Raby, who sucked dry gravy in Ohio, who locked me and my team out, shut off all the utilities illegally, and it goes on and on and on. When people don't do the right thing, in the United States of America, our only recourse is court. That's our recourse. That's how we follow it up. So when you're saying, what can you do when the law doesn't follow the law? Our only recourse is court. Now, most people never get to that point because they don't have the resources, and it's extensive amount of resources to file and to pursue a lawsuit in hopes of regaining that money, stating that you're suing for those damages, right? But that doesn't always happen that way. The only recourse we have currently is our legal system. And you can see with Craig DeThomas's, oh my goodness, it's pretty much failing. EESS shirt says, what happened to the microphones for town hall meeting? Well, Don and Russell and others refused to use them. So there's a tremendous amount of time that takes to set that all up. They're not going to use them. They're refusing to use them. Maybe this new council that gets voted in and seated with this election, maybe they'll be respectful enough to use them all. But you've already seen the tremendous amount of disrespect that comes from Russ The Suss and Don the Con. You've got gifted donations. They refuse to use. They pretend that they can't hear anything. But all of a sudden, Don the Con can hear everything that's spewing out of LIEnette's mouth. And honestly, who can't hear that voice? I mean, it haunts us all. And then he's trying to shush her up like this. But he can hear her? Karen has a good idea. Really good idea. Says, it blows my mind that George has a permanent civil protection order and nothing is being done with either of them continually breaking it. George, I would get a bodyguard, go to the meeting, and stand right next to her and film her. Okay, well, Karen, we understand that you're exercising your freedom of speech and stating that. I think that's a good idea that George can go with a bodyguard. Now, remember, with my temporary injunction right now, I can't be around firearms. So if we send a bodyguard with firearms, George has to be there solo. And again, we've already stated that things get even crazier when I'm not there. So maybe it is the best idea just to send George, have armed guards with her, and she film all this insanity that's going on. Now, I guarantee you we will go again, and George will go again, and I'm having some hesitation to think that John or LIEnette will ever be there again. My thoughts and all of my opinions state that they're going to be imprisoned very, very soon for all these violations. So that is absolutely something we can look at. We've hired bodyguards in the past. We've hired security. We've hired uniformed, ununiformed. There are times where people know that we have security. There are times where people don't know that we have security. And so this is an option that George actually can have somebody there armed with her if I'm not there. Big little gal with the same question we get from people over and over and over again. Would you please explain more why they have to leave when you show up, even if they're first? Because legally, that's what they have to do. The civil protection order says it. I'm never going to answer this question again. If this question gets posted, we're just getting rid of those people because we have explained it so many times it's ridiculous. Now, I realize there's new viewers all the time and there's old viewers all the time, and we get the same question from both. They legally have to leave wherever we show up. Now, I wasn't there because of the temporary civil protection order. George was. They immediately have to move, and they immediately have to be 500 feet away. They refused. They are in violation. They will get arrested in Ohio.
That's how it's written in the CPO.
John W. says, okay, let's just follow this storyline that Russ The Suss is lying to the deputies about. So if Crook was sworn in, would they leave the child alone in the car? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Nice parenting. Well, we all know nobody there has face mask on, and we all know LIEnette's in there trying to film herself with her own rug abuse hand shaking like this.
We all know it was a lie.
It's all a lie. So would they leave? Yeah, I have no doubt these two would actually, well, we've seen it on the wildlife officer's video. On his chest cam, while they were on their own property, they left the child all strapped in on the car. I'm not okay with that kind of thing. That's my personal preference. It's up to Children Protective Services to actually determine whether that's child abuse or not. But it comes straight down to it's a lie. It was all a pathetic lie to try and protect them. And what it actually did was incriminate them even further. Linda Patterson has some grievances here with Levy County law enforcement. I'm so upset for George. Totally disappointed with the county. Why are they failing to enforce the go-to? It's dangerous to continually empower those two people to harass and embolden them to possible violence. And you're completely right, Linda. All Levy County has done, all the state attorney has done, is empower them to think they're above the law because they have not actually arrested them yet. And so now they feel like they can go anywhere, do anything at any point in time. So now they're liable for their actions. Now Levy County Sheriff are liable for their inaction to enforce, even though they're going to say, oh wait, we made them leave. The meeting was already over. They wasted 30 minutes going roundabout saying, well, we can't find the civil protection order. When they all know about it, they all have it. They've created liability not only for themselves, but the state as well. As the state attorney originally said, do not enforce it. Now the state attorney is saying, do enforce it. But as you can see, it's not being enforced by Levy County Sheriff. So again, the positive in all of this is Ohio ain't going to play games with them at all. Not at all. They will be forced to appear in Ohio. If they do not appear, there will be a warrant for arrest for failure to appear. There will be no more games based out of Ohio, and then Florida will be liable for breaking our civil rights and not enforcing our protection as well. Tangier Bob says, who in their right mind would want a town run by Russ The Suss and Don the Con? Well, let's break that down a little bit. Number one, if you're going to run a town, you got to have some kind of financial aptitude, right? You have to have some competency with working with finances. We know Russ The Suss has declared bankruptcy multiple times. And I don't care if you claim that, oh, it's because of the economy, it's because of the banking system. I went through all the same stuff, and guess who never declared bankruptcy? I went through a horrific divorce in 2014. I had nothing. I was garbage picking wood off of the curb lawn to actually keep heat on myself during the fall and winter up north. And you know who never declared bankruptcy? Even when I had no money left, no pennies? Me. I rebuilt my financial life so it's more stable than it ever was before. I went through everything everybody else did. So you can't blame circumstances for people's inappropriate or wrong decisions in life. He is a man that absolutely cannot budget or work with money. So he's already proven that in his own life. So why would you allow him to work with the town money? He's also proven that he's a thief. He's also proven that he's very immoral, trying to trade power over water for favors from the residents. Now let's get to Don the Con. This man is so inept, he actually called the police when his friend stole his stash of starfish leaves. It's a news article that you can find online. The man called the police because his friend stole
lettuce.
his devil's lettuce. Can we say stupid, ignorant fool? Who do you think got in trouble, the friend or Don the Con? Don the Con. These are the people that you want in charge of a town. It's no wonder Otter Creek used to be the central hub of all of Levy County. This was the place, the spot, and now it's the sore spot. Nobody wants to go to Otter Creek. Now, did George and I know that beforehand? Absolutely not. We had no clue. We purchased property based off of a business plan, and that business plan has been extremely successful for us. We're near all the major cities with all the major auctions, and you can see how big we've scored. Hundreds of thousands of dollars in resale value of merchandise and storage units and auctions and flea markets, and the list goes on and on.
Our business plan ended up being better than we imagined.
We could never even fathom, and we're right next to the Gulf Coast, which we wanted as well, which has oatmeal cream pie ice cream. Oh. Now, we love the area, and we love vast majority of the people, but who in their right mind would ever want Don the Con, Russ the Suss? Well, you have to understand there are people here that aren't in their right mind. Look at LIEnette, obviously a rug addict. Look at Crook, obviously a rug addict. They come into the town attacking Russ the Suss, attacking Attorney Warm, attacking Mary Mathis-Scary. Now, because they're being exposed by us, because they attacked us, now we've exposed them. Now they need to latch on to Russ the Suss and Don the Con and Stewart, and the list goes on and on. These people are not in their right mind. As a matter of fact, you saw many people in the meeting that want nothing to do with Russ the Suss or Don the Con. You saw two individuals, Carl Hughes, who's raising his daughter here with his wife Mandy, and they want Don the Con and Russ the Suss out. He wants a better life for his daughter. Can you blame him? What father doesn't want a better life for their children, except Russ the Suss? As we showed 10 years ago, that Charlene, Russ the Suss's daughter, filmed the first town hall meeting. It was placed on YouTube. And she's adamantly told her father is the issue by the then council. This is a man that doesn't care about himself, doesn't care about the people, and doesn't even care about his own daughter's livelihood and happiness in the town of Otter Creek. Chris Flowers wants to know, did LIEnette tell the courts that she withdrew? All right, so Chris, you ask a good question, and we will address this in another episode, okay? So we have all of her filed paperwork. We have that for court. So regardless of whether she told the courts that she withdrew, which she didn't, she hasn't had that opportunity in court yet, we will be filing all of her paperwork as proof that she continues to not be paralyzed to the property. We have all of her interests for the seat. We have everything that she has filed and she's placed in town hall, okay? So regardless of whether she's told the courts, we're telling the courts, this is a public personality who continues to break civil protection orders and continues to do inappropriate, wrong things. We have all of her paperwork. Now, she withdrew, from our understanding, because you lied to me. You lied to me. Now, I'm guessing that's going to be her. That's going to be her testimony in court. She's going to try and say that everybody lied to her, that the town clerk lied to her. Come on. We're talking about Mrs. Claus here, the wife of Santa Claus, all right? Belinda, the sweetest woman in Otter Creek, who is nothing but a bundle of love. Don't get on her wrong side. Don't get me wrong. She will not put up with garbage, okay? She won't put up with garbage. She'll put you in her place, but she does it with love. We call that a velvet-wrapped brick, okay?
She did it to you the day Russell tried to intrude on your investigation.
When Russell tried to come in the investigation, she put me in my place. And I'm huge. She's a small woman.
She told you to sit down.
She's a small, precious woman. She said, Jeremy! That's all she had to say was my name. I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I ain't messing with her. All right. She is a loving individual with character, integrity, truth, and the list goes on and on. Belinda hasn't lied. We have to look at people's life patterns to find out who lies. LIEnette has lied. She placed signs all over Otter Creek stating that I'm a rapist. Not even that, goes a step above, that I rapped her daughter. And yet there was no phone calls to the Levy County Sheriff. As much as this woman calls the Levy County Sheriff, there wasn't a single phone call. And we have the handwriting expert coming in to prove it was LIEnette. So who in life lies? LIEnette or Belinda? Belinda tells the truth. She does everything with honor and integrity. LIEnette lies about absolutely everything. We have the paperwork. We'll make sure the courts know.